Hello and welcome to this rock solid video. It's fantastic to have you with us. My name's John and I'm going to be taking us through today's video. Now, I don't know how up to date you are with your national and international awards ceremonies. We had the BAFTA awards the other day, but why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field. It's a great one, isn't it? You really didn't see that one coming. Why don't you take a pause now and tell the funniest joke that you know to the people around you. Funniest joke wins. Brilliant. I'm looking forward to hearing some of those jokes. Maybe you should come up and tell me some of them when you next see me and I'll add them to my repertoire. Because today we're looking at something that's quite similar to sharing jokes, sharing things with other people. But before we do that, we're going to play a game, and this week it's a classic. So to play, you will first need to split yourself into two teams. So hopefully you've got enough people to have sizable teams. Then you need to stand in a line in your teams, one behind the other. And the person at the front of each queue needs to have a pen and a piece of paper. And very simply, what's going to happen is the leader is going to show the person at the back of the queue a picture of something that they have drawn. And there are suggestions here of what you could use. And then the person at the back in both teams is going to draw with their finger the picture onto the back of the person in front of them, and then they're going to go and do it on the person in front of them, and so on and so forth, until you reach the person at the beginning of the line with the paper and the pen, and they're going to draw the picture out and see what they get, and whoever's drawings are closest to the original drawings will win. I hope that makes sense. Why don't you give that a go now? Now, if you were to open up a dictionary and turn to the entry for prophecy, I wonder what you'd read. I don't know how you would define prophecy, what you think it means, whether you thought about it before, whether you even heard the word before. I'm going to give you a chance to have a think about that right now. We're going to have another pause before we dive in a bit further. What is prophecy? How would you describe it? How would you explain it? What comes to mind when you hear the word prophecy, when you hear the word prophet? You might have learnt, especially if you've grown up through church, a little memory aid to help you remember some of the spiritual gifts that we've been chatting about over the last few weeks, involving your fingers. So I learnt this very recently, so I don't really know it very well, but you label your fingers as different gifts. So your thumb is the apostle, the prophet is on your index finger, your pointer finger, the evangelist or the missionary is on the middle finger, and then the pastor on the ring finger, and then the teacher on your little finger. And each one of those has a specific reason why they're on those fingers. But today we're just going to focus on our index finger, the prophecy finger, because the person who has the gift of prophecy speaks out what they believe God is saying. So they point out with their index finger, they point out what is on God's heart. A genuine prophecy is always in tune with what is And genuine prophecy is always in tune with God's word, the Bible, with what God is trying to say. A prophet may be someone who spends a lot of time in prayer and listening to God and being aware of God quietly, rather than the image that might come to mind when you think of the word prophet. It might be quite a scary word and quite a different thing. And the reason why we've been sharing jokes and pictures, drawing pictures on each other's backs, is that is right at the heart of what prophecy is. So let's take a look at the Bible now. If you've got a Bible with you, why don't you crack it open and turn to 1 Corinthians 14, and we're going to read verses 1 to 5. This is a part of a letter that Paul wrote to the church in Corinth, which is in Greece. And he's trying to help the people of the church there understand what prophecy is all about. So let's read that together now. You should seek after love, and you should truly want to have the spiritual gifts, especially the gift of prophecy. I will explain why. Those who have the gift of speaking in different languages are not speaking to people, they're speaking to God. No one understands them, they're speaking secret things through the Spirit. But those who prophesy are speaking to people and give them strength, encouragement, and comfort. The ones who speak in different languages are helping only themselves, but those who prophesy are helping the whole church. I wish all of you had the gift of speaking in different kinds of languages, but more I wish you would prophesy. Those who prophesy are greater than those who can speak in different languages, unless someone is there who can explain what is said so that the whole church can be helped. If you haven't had a read along with us just then in this next pause, why don't you grab yourself a Bible and read it for yourself, and then chat with the people around you, or have a think if you're by yourself about the questions that are going to come up on the screen. I remember, and this is years ago, sitting in Loco Lounge, a cafe just down the road in Kings Heath, and I was there with some of my friends, and we were chatting and probably eating something and probably having a bit of a laugh. And then I remember someone walked in and they started walking over to our table, and we saw her and we thought, this is a bit strange. And she came up to us and she stopped at our table and she said, "Oh, I'm really sorry to interrupt you. Is your name John?" And I said, "Yeah." And then she went to each of my friends and asked if their names were their names, and they were all correct. And then she gave each of us a little word or a passage from the Bible or a picture that she felt God was trying to say to us in that moment. And we were sitting there thinking, this is weird, man. We don't know this person. This stranger has just come up to us, told us what our names are, and then given us some kind of picture or word or Bible passage. And those words were really good words. They were really relevant to us. And the thing is, there is no way that anyone could have known those things apart from God. And then she described what she was trying to say, and then she just simply walked away. And those messages were so right, so what we were going through or needed, that we were really amazed. Now, prophesying is all about being in tune with God's voice, listening to Him, and having the confidence to share what God is saying with the people around you. And the purpose of it is to do what the passage said, to give strength, encouragement, and comfort. Words from God never bring people down, they're never unhelpful, and they always line up with what the Bible says. Sharing prophetic words and pictures for other people is always for their building up and for glorifying God. And what does this mean? Well, sometimes God might speak to you through someone else and make it obvious by saying things that no one else would know other than you and God. Sometimes it means sharing a verse that you can just have a sense might be what someone needs to hear, or sometimes it can be sharing a really random picture. There's a brilliant story of this, of a kind of bit of a random picture, a really good example from Mike Pilavachi from Soul Survivor, who shared a personal experience that he had with a prophetic word. And I'd really encourage you to watch it. It's brilliant, it's fantastic. I'm not going to explain it now because it's a little bit long, but the link to watch that story is here in these video notes that you can download on the website. Prophetic words are always encouraging, always biblical, sometimes challenging, but always loving. If you're in a group, you might want to take some time now to have a go, to wait and listen to God, to what God might be saying for you or for someone else, and then just being bold and confident and brave and sharing it with someone else in that group with you. The more we flex this muscle, just like when we do weights at the gym, the more we flex this muscle, learning to listen to God and practicing being brave and sharing what we feel God is saying, the more we grow in our confidence and in our faith. So leaders, you might want to work out how to facilitate this best in your group setting, but one idea might be to split off into pairs, preferably with someone that you don't know very well maybe, find some space in the room and then spend a few minutes just being still, being silent, and being open to listen to what God might want to say. Ask God to give you a message, a word or a picture, or maybe a Bible passage for your partner. It doesn't have to be big, exciting, it doesn't have to be a complicated thing. It could be as simple as saying, I don't know if this is from God or if this is just me, but I've got a picture of a child's coat in my head. Does that mean anything to you? And then that person might say, no, that doesn't mean much, but thank you. Or they might say, wow, actually that really does mean something. And it might feel a bit weird, but that's okay, embrace it. As Mike Pilavachi always says, in situations like this, I'd always rather say something and get it wrong than not say anything and live the rest of my life wondering what I've missed. Prophecy can be a daunting thing, and that's understandable, but it's also exciting. We can be hugely impacted by hearing from God, whether for ourselves or for someone else. So I'd really encourage you to keep pressing in, keep waiting and asking God to speak to you. But we've reached the end of this week's video, so I will see you very soon. Have a lovely week. Bye.